Hello everyone, my name is Shiv.
And I'm Shae.
And welcome back to the Shiv and Shae podcast.
Woo, 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 woo.
It's been a while, isn't it, sis?
It has. And what's interesting, this is the first time we're actually recording together.
Yay.
So it will be an experience. Forgive us if we're laughing.
I know. But I think the amazing thing is that we were able to start this podcast off during lockdown, something that we both really had to journey through, and we had to be a bit innovative, do it from the comfort of our home. But now we can do it together, which is good.
It's true.
Yeah. But Shae, tell us, where have you been? Where have we been?
Where have we been? So our last podcast was about June. So since then we've had quite a busy summer actually. I think churches open up for you. I had summer at work was long but amazing. Obviously your wedding, which was amazing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
yes.
today?
I finally got to have the wedding of my dreams, our dreams should I say. As you know, in the last one, I got married in a pandemic.
It's a pandemic.
In a pandemic. But yeah, we were able to celebrate our big day in the way that we planned to originally, and it was amazing. The most beautiful day, really emotional, really fun. Like even now, still like aunties coming up to me. Some people I don't even know. Oh, your wedding was lit. It was lit. I was like, what do you know about lit? And secondly, I didn't see you there. But yeah, like I think. Obviously, we've now come out of lockdown, so more or less out of lockdown. But like, what for you, Shae, was the best part about working from home? Because obviously now working from home life, they're trying to make it come to an end. Like, what did you love the most about working from home?
So interestingly, obviously I started my new job during lockdown, so I was actually in the office some days and then working from home. But what was really good is just waking up moments before a meeting and just, hey, I'm there. Or being able to eat whenever I can, nap without anyone judging me.
True.
You?
Well, I love to cook, as I've said in a few previous episodes. So for me, I love the fact that I've been able to just fry a plantain whenever I want to. For our African listeners, plantain. I have been able to fry plantain in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, just being able to start food prep. Like sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll just start prepping food and start seasoning chicken. So I have loved being able to do that. And also just being able to like serve Dwayne, just being able to be like, oh, babe, do you want anything for breakfast? And just making poached eggs. It's so random. I feel like making food for people is like my love language, but just being able to, work from home, but be able to like cook and, serve others has been a real benefit for me. I think the only tricky thing with working from home is very like you, we love working. So like even yesterday I got back from an interview, recording something, and I started doing work, and then it was 10 o'clock, and then I literally had to put myself to bed. Like I was like, nope, let me go to bed before I overwork myself. I think it's about boundaries, isn't it? Like there's one thing that I've read, and this was probably about last year, and I read just because I'm at home doesn't mean I'm available. And I think just maintaining those boundaries where, okay, yes, we're working from home, but this is family time. This is me and my husband time. Don't be calling me at 10 p.m. to say, oh, I need you to send me something for work. No. Boundaries. But yeah, aside from that, we need to talk about something that's current. We need to talk about something that's going on. Just so that you know that we're recording this now, okay? Right now, this petrol business. This petrol business. I don't even want to touch base on it for too long, but I'm praying for you guys. If you need petrol, don't come and holler at me, because my car is diesel and she needs filling up as well very soon. But I just feel like people just got a bit mad.
It's crazy. And do you know what? I saw one of my friends snapped and he's like, oh, you should have moved out of London a long time ago. Up in Essex, it's fine. And I just think we love to panic buy, and even that, like, it's just traffic everywhere.
I know.
I just want to get to work.
Trust.
Why are you disrupting me?
Trust
a
me.
Simple 2-minute journey is now 4 hours.
I know. I was very tempted to get the train this morning, but then the weather was just awful, so I was just like, I need to drive. But anyway, we are not on here to talk about petrol and talk about drama. We are here to hear a little bit more about Shae's story, and specifically about the benefits of youth work. So as some of you may know, both Shae and I have worked or served within a capacity of working with young people. And I think it's important that our listeners, and especially those who have young kids or work with young kids, understand how important it is. And in doing so, we're also going to find out a little bit more about Shae. You know, we've had a little bit of a talk about Shiv at one point and the wedding, but I want you guys to know the Shae that I know. I mean, you guys will never know the Shae that I know.
Yaga.
You will never know that Shae. But there is a side to Shae that you guys definitely need to know about, and her story, and I'm excited to share a little bit about that today. So Shae, just to start us off, tell us about your story. Tell us about who you are and how you got to where you are, you know, your journey.
So I'm Shae, as all of you know. If you don't know, where have you been? I'm from St. Vincent and Dominica, which is very important to me because they're the two best islands in the Caribbean. I'm a Londoner, born and bred East London, and I think that sets who I am, and I think just that character, my background, is a big part of who I am. So I was raised in East London. I love East London with all my heart. I still think it's the best part of London. And why do I share that? Because I think that's a big part of my identity. So growing up in East London, obviously I was a teenager in the early 2000s. That's mad to say, early 2000s.
Some of these weren't even born then.
I know. Do you know, some of my young people, they're like, I was born in 2008.
And you're like, what?
I was 18. Anyways, so early 2000s, around London, that's where you started to get people representing the area. I think there was a big split between north, east, south, west and all of that. And I think I got introduced to the urban life very young, just because of where I lived. And cut a long story short, I did have a good childhood, just throwing that one out there. But I entered secondary school, and for many young people and even adults, you will know when you enter secondary school and become a teenager, that's when you start to think a lot about your identity, who you are, who you want to be. You look for the future. And for me, when I entered secondary school, I knew a lot of people. And I didn't want to be the person I didn't want to be what we call a boffin. I wanted to be someone quite popular, if that makes sense, or someone well known, but also someone who achieved. So I hung around with everyone, but particularly those who were involved with quote unquote gangs and all of that malarkey. Cut a long story short, at the age of 14, just because of the life that I was living, I had a fight outside my house and got stabbed, and that was a life-changing moment for me, because I think it opened my eyes to the reality of what being in a hood is like, but also started to put barriers on my heart and on my life. But what's really amazing, and it was those moments where I was really introduced into youth work, introduced to care and people who love you outside of your family. So when I was 14 and I got stabbed, I think I shared this before, but a Christian youth worker who lived on my estate invited me to her house and started sharing the gospel with me, and I ignored it because I didn't care at the time. My life was so caught up in drama. My friend just died. Things weren't right in my life that I didn't want to hear about Jesus. But actually she continued to share the gospel, continued to tell me how much God loved me. And then she said that I'm praying for you, and those words held so much weight to me. So I remember going home thinking about why is she praying for me and And then a week after, she was like, come to my house, I believe I want to share something with you. She said that God has a word for me, and I didn't really care about God's word, but you know when you're cocking, you're like, yeah, let me go along. So I went along, and she was like, I believe that God wants you to go on mission to America. I got really excited because I thought it was a free trip / holiday to America. I didn't know what mission it was. For those who don't know what mission is when you go to a different country or serve a community. It doesn't have to be in a different country, but you serve a community for a period of time in a nutshell. So I agreed, went to America a year after. That's when I would say that was my first time I really done youth work, because we were serving a community. We'd done a summer school, and we were just serving that local community, and I really liked helping people who at that time were my age and older. So yeah.
No, that's really good. Thank you for sharing, and just thank you for being so open. Like I personally have heard your story many times, but it never gets old. It's always equally as inspiring. Just to hear about your journey, especially what you've gone through from such a young age, and to see how far you've come, and now that then people can understand why you're so passionate about what you do, and the impact that you make in young people's lives, because it's almost as if, like, do you see yourself in them?
Yeah, 100%. Even at my new workplace, there's one child in particular, and I look at her and I'm like, you are me. You know, if I had I had Kathy and Lauren, but if I had someone who understood me completely and supported me, I think I would have made better choices. Yeah. So I see young people, I see problems, and I'm like, come, let's work this out, let's guide you. And I think that's an important thing.
That's really good. So you mentioned your old youth leaders, Kathy and Lauren. Now, in what other ways did youth work impact you as a young person? We can talk about secular youth work, which is just youth work, sort of just maybe not, you know, not from a Christian background or a religious perspective. It's just kind of doing community stuff. But then we also have like church youth work that we do. Now, Lauren and Kathy, I'm assuming they were like church youth work. Was it mixed secular as well? So was it like with community kids? Yeah. Okay. And like, how did that impact you at that time? Because obviously they're sharing things with you that you probably didn't really want to hear, but did they give you like opportunities? I know you mentioned how you were able to go to America. What other opportunities did they give you? Just so people know like the kind of things that youth workers are doing for young people.
So Friday Club, which is what it was called so long ago, it was based at the local church, but it was for everyone on the estate, so it was mixed. So we'll play games like pool, typical youth club stuff, and then there was always a God slot, which by the time God slot came, we sort of blanked out, like but we always respected and honoured those who were leading, because they played a big part of our life. So we was doing that. We had opportunities. They took us to I went Spring Harvest with them. I had opportunities to go to different, like, watch plays, just different random activities actually.
That's good.
And I think for them it was nice to have just a place to go to consistently, where even if I didn't care about the God slot or whatever, but it was a safe place.
Yeah, of course.
And they would always speak to me, they would check up on me, and if I was angry or upset, they were people to talk to, really. And I think with a lot, I know I just mentioned getting stabbed, but actually with a lot of stuff that I've gone through, such as things at home, my best friend dying, friends dying, Scott dying, and all stuff like that, they were the go-to people just to, what do I do? How do I cope? How do I grieve? How do I do this? That's so all the questions that I had in life,
that's really good.
They were
present. No, that's amazing. And I think it's important for people to know that youth work isn't just keeping kids busy. It's actually mentorship, it's support, it's comfort, it's counselling, and it's opportunities as well. Like, can you share any opportunities that you were given? Like, because you know, sometimes in youth work you get young people from maybe as young as, you know, 8, and sometimes you can have them up until they're 18. And because they're in this kind of quotation mark youth work system, they can go two ways. They can then decide, right, I actually want to give back to my community now. I want to give back to the young people that I know. Or they can also say, actually, I'm done now. I want to do my own thing. I want to go on the road. But for those who are maybe looking for an opportunity, whether it's like work experience or volunteering, what kind of things were, you know, opened up for you through youth work? Did they get you to do any workshops or like lead anything?
Yeah, do you know what? With Lauren and Kathy at Friday Club, we would do drama rehearsals, drama plays, perform in front of churches. But actually, as I got older, about 16 when I started college, I joined a drama company, and there was a youth worker called Charmaine, if you're listening, I love you so much. Like, she's a youth worker that I still speak to now. We've always kept in contact over the years, and I remember Charmaine would, like, we would have drama sessions immediate, and then I would just be that kid who would just sit at the back and, like, you lot act and I'll chill. But actually we had a play called Cocoa Butter, which was a remix of like an urban version of Grease, and we all had to audition. So I auditioned for a part, but I didn't think I was gonna get it, and Charmaine gave it to me, And I was like, I was so excited. And that in itself gave me confidence, because my role was like one of the main characters. So then I had the confidence to public speak. I had to do a monologue. I had to dance. I had to do everything, which was fun. But also Charmaine gave me an opportunity to have a job in youth work. So earning legit money. It was decent money for my age. And that was quite significant. So I became a peer educator, so a young leader in some cases. And I remember going on to the estate. So I'm about 17, 18, so context. At the age of 17 and 18, I lost about 10 friends, Danielle being one of them. And I will always bring up her name because I think that was a shock to me, how she died and stuff like that. So that... And I remember going on to the estate doing, in Hackney, Kingsholt, doing an EBYT, which is a state-based youth theatre. So we had to recruit young people, bring them in, and they had a week to come up with a play, and it was around the Big Blue Fence, which was around the Olympics. So before the Olympics were made, around the site, there was a big blue fence. So we created that. And I remember meeting two young people in particular. There was one guy who... I remember just meeting him, and just his bars and just what he spoke, he reminded me of me, and just his hurt and pain. He lost friends and stuff like that, and I just wanted to help him. And we sat down for that week, 2 weeks, helped him write bars and stuff like that, and that birthed something within me to be like, actually, instead of studying science and be a forensic scientist, I want to help kids who are like me, so that one, they don't go through what I've been through, but also have a support network of people who understand, who's doing something better now. I weren't that far ahead in life as him at the time, him and the other person. However, I was just that step ahead to be like, actually, I know the roads ain't right. I'm trying to go legit. Come legit with me. I thank God for Charmaine, because she saw potential in me. She took a risk, because I could have said no, or I could have gone off the rails and stuff like that, but she took a risk with me, which has actually played a part to who I am today. And I totally believe that God was overseeing that as well, because I think God places people in your life for a reason.
Amen.
And it's that. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that in that depth as well. And just again, I always continue to thank you for sharing, because there are certain things that, you know, are part of your lives that you would probably prefer to keep, you know, to yourself, but the fact that you're able to share it right now is definitely a sign of strength, and I guess sign of healing as well. So okay, let me try catch up here now. So you've then said that you've transitioned into doing youth work within Hackney. Now remember, guys, I'm not from Hackney, but I have family in Hackney. Now, as for Shae, when I was at uni at the time, and I remember I used to meet Shae more or less every day after uni. I went to London Met, and North London, near to the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal. Anyway, so I used to meet Shae in Hackney, and I got a bit more confident in Hackney walking through. This was before it was gentrified. I was walking through Hackney, used to get our Caribbean food and stuff. And that's when you was working within youth work. Now, how many years were you there? And this was Frampton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how long were you there for? And then we'll talk about what happened after.
So I've been working in Hackney since I was about 17, so it's 10 years in essence. So I done EBYTs, took a break, and then I started working on Frampton Park with Hackney Quest, my favourite place ever. So I was with Hackney Quest. We worked this out the other day. It opened 2012 and I left 2017, so I was there for only 5 years actually. I love that place, man.
I loved it too. So for me, it was nice to be able to, you know, get out of my usual Ilford, Chadwell Heath, and just have different faces, different stories, but essentially like youth work is the same wherever you go. Definitely. I think, well, in London, I can't speak for the guys up north because I feel like we all experience different things, but I do think it's important that other youth workers from different regions have some experience in what we go through in London and vice versa, because that's the only way we can relate to one another. That's the only way we can support. We can't just keep, you know, putting on sessions about a certain thing that doesn't relate to young people. But yeah, I digress. So now 2017, you transition out of youth work within Hackney, and you go into church ministry. So what happened with that? What made you go into church ministry?
Let's rewind back to about 2014, 2015. So working in Hackney, working on Frampton was amazing. The young people were amazing. We done things, took them to City Hall. Wow. We took them out of London. We created songs, got them into jobs, gave them loads of opportunities, taught them new skills, which is a key thing. We got them to cook. We made apple crumble. We also kicked young people out. We were a family. Whilst I was working in Hackney, obviously I was serving at our local church. And in 2015, one of my young people died from getting stabbed. And even now as I'm speaking, it breaks my heart. Because we was with him a few weeks before. We was doing a drama workshop, and him dying just broke me. I've had young people die. Well, I had people around me die. I had young people get stabbed, but actually having a young person that you invested in, gun and knife crime is something that I'm so passionate about because I've seen it break lives. I know the effect that it's had on me and mothers and stuff like that. And losing him, I just broke down. You would have seen my snaps. Some of my friends were just getting on to me, just praying for me, supporting me, and I just had enough. And I remember speaking to the youth pastor at the time, Daniel, and saying, look, enough is enough. I'm fed up of giving young people a positive message. I said, look, the only real way of getting out the hood isn't so much doing good things, it's you need to be transformed. And the only way people are truly transformed is through Jesus. And I got really frustrated that the fact that I couldn't really share my faith with my kids because I was in quote unquote secular youth work, and I saw that here, when I was able to share my faith with some of these kids, it made a difference. And I'm not saying that secular youth work doesn't make a difference, because it does, and I'm still very much in that now. But I was just broken, so I was just frustrated. And I remember I was teaching at the time as well, and I remember we done a 6-week here at our church, and we done Young Apprentice. So I was here every single day with the kids, and I really loved it because we was teaching them business skills. At the same time, we was able to I had an argument with C4. C4, we love you now, but boy, I had an argument with C4 because it doesn't matter why. And then straight afterwards, God was like, you need to go up to her and pray with her. And it was that element of I could truly be a Christian and truly be myself, and I love that. So I quit my job in teaching. I come into the office with Pastor Daniel and said, look, I've resigned and I'm coming to serve youth. And Pastor Daniel was amazing. He was an amazing mentor, still is an amazing mentor to both of us. And he journeyed through, gave me the opportunity to lead parts of our youth ministry at the time. And I really loved that. I loved being able to boldly share my faith. I love telling people about Jesus, or being an evangelist, as people say, but I also love practically helping people. So I served here as an intern for 2 years, and then our pastor came up to us and offered me a job as outreach coordinator, which means that I stepped away from youth and solely focused on reaching our local community. And it was a weird transition. I loved it because I think the youth work intern prepared me for it. But actually fully stepping away from Hackney was heartbreaking, because these kids that I've been with for 5 years, sometimes a bit longer, families and stuff like that, I'm saying bye. But it was never been a real bye, because I've always gone back. Like I was there the other day, and one kid who was now 16, he was 11 when I left, he was like, you know what, Shay, you know what, you had me, you know, nah, you stuck it on me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said you was a naughty kid. Of course I did. He's like, nah, you know what, one day you and James sat down and spoke to me about just gangs and not being in the hood, and I've always held on to that, and that's why I've never really gotten into that. You know, and that means so much to me. Like in youth work, you don't really get thank yous, you don't really know your impact. A lot of it, you see the result of your work years after, but for him to remember that moment, and I see him 5 years later and he shares that, that's a win for me. It means that at least I've done something right in those years there. So that's it.
No, I love what you shared, and I think just hearing that, like young people don't like to be told off. They don't like to listen, but they love that accountability. They need boundaries. Like children and young people need boundaries, and they need to know, look, I'm here for you, but I will stick it on you in an instant. Like, if you're doing the wrong thing, I'm going to tell you about it, because your friends might not be doing it, but it's my responsibility to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I do. And even if you don't see that young person, you might bump into them. I don't know, Shay, you're always bumping into people, whether it's old colleagues or people you went to school with, and, you know, they'll always remember what you have shared with them. So you then, you left youth work, and then you began to focus on evangelism. Now, one thing I know about Shay is Shay has the Father's heart. She cares about people. She is an evangelist. She loves to tell people about Jesus. That's what you're passionate about. Now, I don't want to say, like, did you not feel fulfilled just doing evangelism? Was there an element where you missed youth work? Was there something that was kind of drawing you back? Like, what kind of kept you doing evangelism for as long as you did?
I think I've always done a mixture of evangelism, especially being at our church. I've always done a mixture of evangelism and youth work. And I think the very first thing God asked me to do when I was 14, 15 was to go on to America on mission, which was youth work and evangelism. So I think that's always been a part of me. Did I miss youth work when I had to drop it? Yeah, man. But I was always involved. So we done girl talk. I would speak at youth. Our outreach was on a Friday, so I'll pop into youth and say hello to the kids. I did miss it, but I did feel that at the time God was calling me to develop something else, and I don't regret taking a step back from youth ministry at the time, and I don't regret fully focusing on evangelism, because I've met great people, partnered up with great things, and had amazing opportunities with that. So but I think I did miss the kids.
I could see it in you. Now, bearing in mind, Shay and I were working together, same office, same name. People's like, how do you guys get any work done? I'm like, we get work done when you're not in here.
You're distracting
Literally,
us.
you're distracting us. But it was a blessing to be able to work with you, and Shay has covered me and advocated for me whilst I was, heading up the kids ministry, and Shay still had a foot in doing a bit of youth work here as well as the evangelism side. But so Shay, you were here at City Gates working as an outreach coordinator for about 5 years, is that correct?
I think 4.5.
Yeah. And then I believe God called you back into youth work. He just tell us a bit more about that, when you transitioned back into youth work in 2020.
So lockdown 2020, so March 2020, when we first got the news about lockdown, I thought it was going to be 3 weeks.
We all did.
So I was like, I'll have my birthday party, in a few weeks, it's fine. I still haven't celebrated my 30th.
Oh,
we will do that.
2 years later.
I might do my 35th. But, so all of that was happening. And actually, I took a break from, I couldn't do my job because I couldn't go out on the streets as much. And so a lot of other stuff was happening. In that moment, I'd done a lot of soul searching. A lot of time, God, what is this? There's this virus that's coming. And actually, everything that I thought was important isn't important anymore. I can't do anything that I really want to do. God, what are you calling me to do? What is important? And obviously, throughout that time, we had George Floyd, like the Black Lives Matter movement. We had our friends' parents passing away, not being able to see friends. Life was different. And I just really felt within myself that I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to help people, and it frustrated me that I was stuck in my house. I couldn't really do much. I couldn't help people, young people, parents. I was just stuck, and I was like, God, I want to make an impact. I want to make a difference from you. What are you saying? And obviously stuff happened with my family, which gave me a real wake-up call to what's happening in the hood. And I always say, I've got a line that says I've got a heart for the hood, which is an organisation that helps churches reach the hood, but also help young people come out of the hood. And even that, going back to that saying and reminding that was a saying that me and our good friend Hannah. Me and Hannah used to speak on BBM days. And
what is BBM for those who don't know?
BBM is a BlackBerry messenger. It was a black phone where you would just ping, ping, ping. My pin, I still remember it.
What was mine?
3388
FE or something. That was mine.
I can't remember mine.
Either way.
Anyways, and I still got the message actually. Hannah and I was talking, and I think it was after youth one time, and we was just sharing our passions, and Hannah said that she's got a heart for the lost and the marginalised and those who are rejected. And she pursued supporting those, and I responded, I've got a heart for the hood. That's how we've always kept ourselves accountable, is that we'll go back and forth. And with that, and in that moment of a pandemic, I realised I really want to go back and help people from my background, because I think gun and knife crime is it's big, and we don't negate that, but actually that is a result of things that have happened in people's lives, parents' lives and environments, which also goes back to the hurt of mankind, which goes, the root of all that we're doing is sin, and how do we bring God's kingdom? So I really felt God called me back into that. And it was funny because my manager, my friend, he sent me the job, the application form for the job that I have now. And I remember messaging him saying, oh, I would love to do this, but sorry, one, it's in South London, and two, it's just not for me. I love my job right now. And then in August of that year, I really felt God saying no. I spoke to my mentor, and I really felt God saying, look, go for it, apply for it. So I applied for the job on the last day of handing in the application form, which is crazy. My interview was 2 days after, and then 2 weeks after, a week after I got the job, and then I left.
And the rest is history!
Yeah.
So now you are based in South London.
Yes.
How ironic, because you always used to talk about South London, like, oh, South London this, South London that. I am from East, tra-la-la-la-la. Tell us about life in South London, working in South London, life on the Patmore estate. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I work on the Patmore estate in South London, which I love with all my heart. And it's funny because just the other day, 2 years ago, Vix and I were arguing over East and South. We've always done that. And I was cussing South London, and really the tables have turned. And I think God has a sense of humour. And even within that, what I learned is that, yes, I have a heart for the hood and I have a heart for East London, but I love people and I love London, and it doesn't matter where I am. I just want to see people do better, live better, see life differently, and if God wills, know Jesus. So yeah, working in South is fun. I have to say South London has better food.
I agree.
There's a place here. Anyways, I'm not giving free promo, but there's a place that I go to almost. I order food from there at least twice a week.
Food?
It's Caribbean.
I need to come then.
Oh, my kids are like, oh, what are you eating? Is it? Like, yeah.
She's like, I'm not doing no free promo.
No free promo. But then I can get my roti and my drinks. And I went to a chicken shop the other day. This is so off topic. They had Supermalt in a chicken shop.
Wow.
I said, huh? Not
South
that
London
I eat chicken and chips.
South London is different, man. South London is different.
But it's a vibe. And I think I'm doing a lot of self-discovery whilst being on there, because it's one thing being a youth worker in an area that you know well. But it's another being a youth worker in a completely new environment with no links, no ties, and actually, are you still good? Yeah. So I learnt, one, that I'm a good youth worker, but two, I also learnt that the problems are still the same, and people need help. And the role of a youth worker, you know, we wear many hats. We're auntie, we're mum, we're big sister, we're teacher, we're friend, somewhat, we're advisor, we're social workers, we're assistants, counsellors, we're everything.
Caretakers.
I don't clean up after my kids, you know. I cuss them. But we play so many roles, and the fact that we can impact so many young people, it makes a difference. And I think I've just seen the fruit of just being a listening ear to someone, the fruit of young people coming in from all different backgrounds with all different problems, sitting down saying, hey, Shay, this is what's happening, and us being problem solvers as a youth worker. We've had young people find work, we've had young people leave gangs, we've had young people move house. We've had young people just do so many great things. And that's not me tooting my own horn. It's because there's an organisation, there's a group of people that love and care for people. And our vision statement at my workplace is, we want to have a community where young people grow with a healthy sense of trust, resilience and hope for the future. So we want them to trust adults and people around them. We want them to be resilient. Life is going to hit you, but how do you overcome that? You don't need to take drugs, you don't need to do this, but you need to just push through. These are the skills to have it and hope for the future. Life on Patmore isn't the be all and end all. What's next? And I love that. It's beautiful to see. So
That's
yeah,
amazing. No, I love that you've shared, the importance of youth work and just how key it is for youth workers in a young person's journey, because you really get to shape and support them in many walks of life. You mentioned career, you mentioned life, you mentioned home, and I think that's so important. And I think what equally is important, Shae, is that what you've shared in your story is very unique, because some might be thinking, right, I've never heard a woman go through this. I've never experienced or known anyone who's gone through what Shae has gone through. And obviously I'm here sat in front of you, and I know you as Shae, but in some places you're seen as just a woman. In some places you're just seen as a black woman as well. So could you tell me the importance of being a young and a black and a young black female youth worker?
I love the fact that you're calling me young. My kids call me old. Imagine one of my kids thought I was 40.
Oh,
Anyways.
not far. I'm joking.
If you saw the look that I gave her. Can I be real? I've always been the young black female. Amongst my friends, we've got age mates, we've got friends who are running great organisations. Stephen with Box Up and Gav with Reach Every Generation, and we all started together here, like talking about it was an idea. And I've always been a female among men, and I think there's so many females who've gone through what I've been through and worse, but we never really share our story. We never put it out there, and it's maybe because I don't know them, but I feel like it's important because young people need role models, and it's so much easier to see someone who's like you. Like even to this day, when I see women speak on stage at church, I get really excited.
It's inspiring.
And when they're a black woman and Caribbean, I'm like, that's me. You understand me. You understand my needs. And I think it's just important from people from all walks of life. And one of the things I'm doing at my youth club and even with Heart for the Hood, I'm making sure that each volunteer or staff member represents the local community, so that you can see yourself in that person, and it's not just this type of person or that type of person who makes these choices. But yeah, it's lonely. I sit in meetings with men, and then but it's always been like that. I've always been the minority. Whether it's in church, I'll be in the church world, and there's a group of white middle class people predominantly speaking about how we should reach the local community, and I'm not white middle class. Or it's been in youth work, and in South London it's quite different because there's quite a few black workers, but actually in youth work I've been that person who's a female sharing what girls need or what the boys need, and it's just that balance. So
what you've said is really key, and I think for Shae and I, being young black women, especially in ministry, I think what we're doing is almost, I don't want to say setting the benchmark, but it's like that representation, so that our little sisters and our nieces and our future daughters can see someone who looks like them and doing inspirational things. So like for me growing up, as soon as there was a black female kids worker or someone on TV, so like Gemma Hunt or Angelica Bell, like these are like my favourite people to watch on CBBC. And little plug, I got to meet Gemma Hunt. Thanks, Shae.
You're welcome.
I interviewed her, and that for me was a huge moment because I grew up as a young black insecure girl who watched TV and didn't see anyone who looked like me. And I know me and Gemma, we don't look nothing alike, but to have someone on the screen or on the stage who represented what I was about was inspirational. So even now, like within ministry, to being able to sit under people like Anushka McEwen and Shireen Agbalusi and Olivia Amate, that these all are inspirational women, like Auntie Vel Thompson, even our friends, you know, Naomi Nelson. To have people who look like us in the mission field means the world, and that's what these young people need. And obviously we get really passionate in speaking about all things about women and girls, because there's a huge part of like Shae and I's life that also played a part in our journey, which is Girl Talk. Now I think we've touched on it before, but Girl Talk is our annual girls only youth conference that takes place at City Gates every year, and this year we are actually celebrating our 20th birthday. I cannot believe that. Now I first went to Girl Talk as a young person. I was about 11 or 12. I can't remember how old I was, but I remember going every single year, and it was in 2012, so Shae would have been 22, so I would have been 19, 20. And I got asked to host it. And I'd never really hosted anything before. I'd been doing youth work and you kind of just do sessions and stuff. But I got asked to host, and I've been hosting since. And I recently became the coordinator about 3 or 4 years ago. So we're very passionate about getting young girls together, letting them know about their identity, who they are in Christ. But not only that, Girl Talk isn't just a day thing. Isn't just a chance to, you know, get rid of your daughters for the day. It is an opportunity for women, girls to just gather together, to have fun, to sit down and hear like different seminar speakers. Shae is one of our speakers this year, which is incredible. We're excited to have her. Now you guys have all the more reason to come down. We also have a DJ. We have inflatables, popcorn, candy floss, the best jollof rice in all of East London. It is just an incredible day where girls can just get together and find out a little bit more about themselves and just have a chance to be themselves, be free. You know, sometimes you really have to just separate from distractions, and this is what Girl Talk's all about. So this year's conference is taking place on the 6th of November, and we're going to plug some more information about where you can get your tickets from. Tickets are only £10. That is like nothing. Small change. That's like meal at Nando's. It's small change. But yeah, we're looking forward to this year's Girl Talk. Again, it's our 20th birthday. So we want to invite you guys, invite any young people you know. Shae, you got anything else to say about Girl Talk?
Just an important thing about Girl Talk, like Shiv said it, both Shiv and I grew up with Girl Talk. I think my first one, I was a bit old towards the end, but actually it shaped us, and I'll never forget. I say this all the time. It was the army's theme.
Stand your ground.
Yeah, stand your ground. And I'll never forget, there was a speaker who was just speaking about just pain, and she was walking around the room, marching around the room, and that spoke volumes to me. That sparked something in me. And it was actually at Girl Talk where Anushka, one of the years, she was like, Shae, you've got a real heart for people, a real evangelistic heart. I want you to lead outreach. And that was handing out flyers, and that spoke volumes to me, because Anushka saw something in me that actually, yet again, years on, I'm doing. And that's why it's important to have youth workers. That's why it's important to be around people who can speak life to you, because as adults, as people who are a little bit further in the journey, we can see stuff and call it out. So please, if you can, get down. Like Shiv said, it's the 6th of November 2021. It's for girls between the ages of 11 and 90. I was going to say 90.
And if you're a youth worker, you're also invited. If you're a mother who like to chaperone, you are also invited. You get a discounted ticket, because that just, you know, includes food and the activities and stuff. So if you need any more information, you can shout us on the Shiv and Shae podcast, but also our Girl Talk pages at Girl Talk Social. Shae, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. Sis. There is so much more to you, and I can't wait to dive into that a little bit more and touch on a few more things that God is doing in your life. But I think we should close in prayer now. Would you like me to pray? Are you gonna pray? Like, is it because I feel like this is your zone?
But you're the prayer. I know.
You say that all the time.
She is. She's a prayer warrior, man. God answers her prayers. But yeah, let's pray. I think like just to pray for two things for young people. Like this is all things youth work, but actually young people need prayer, and I do think it's our responsibility as adults, those who are a little bit older, even if the child's someone who you don't know, talk to them, man. Like, I was in an interview yesterday, and each young person went through some stuff, and they said, I just wanted someone to listen to. You know, I'm maybe because it's how God's wired me, but we could be on the bus, we could be out, and if a young person's doing something out of line, I would talk to them about it. And 9 times out of 10 we become friends, and then we journey. But yeah, so I'm gonna pray for young people and also youth workers. So yeah, Father God, I just thank you for this episode. I really pray that it touches just people's hearts and minds and lives, Lord, and I pray that whatever you want people to get from this, that they will get it, Lord, that this may even spark some people to do youth work. This may even encourage young people to find a youth club and a safe space, Lord. I thank you for the youth clubs around London and beyond that are safe spaces for young people. I pray for every young person who may be listening to this, Lord. I pray that you just bless them. I pray that you would just let them know that things will be okay. Let them know of your love, Father. And we pray for youth workers who may be struggling, who may be feeling that they're not doing good enough, Lord. I pray that you would just give them the strength to continue going, give them the courage to just do a good job, Father, to listen, to advocate for young people, to be a role model for young people, and actually in years to come they will see the fruit of their labour. Lord, I just pray this all in your precious and mighty name. Amen.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been so good. And what's even more special that we've been able to film it together. So hopefully editing won't take too long.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Tune in to the next episode of the Shiv and Shae podcast. I'm sorry, that's not how we do our exit. So I have been Shiv.
And I've been Shae.
And this is the Shiv and Shae podcast.